September 1996. Las Vegas is alive with neon lights, crowded streets, and celebration. The city feels untouchable, a place where money, fame, and power never sleep. On this warm night, thousands of people move through casinos and sidewalks, unaware that history is about to change forever. Among them is Tupac Shakur, a global superstar, a controversial voice, a man loved by millions and hated by many. Tupac is not just a rapper, he is a symbol. His music speaks about pain, injustice, survival, and truth. To some, he represents hope. To others, he represents danger. And on this night, that danger feels closer than anyone realizes. What no one knows is that before the sun rises again, Tupac's life will be violently cut short, and his death will become one of the most mysterious, debated, and disturbing unsolved cases in American history. Earlier that evening, Tupac attends the Mike Tyson boxing match at the MGM Grand. Cameras capture him smiling, confident, surrounded by friends and security. He looks relaxed, untouchable, like a man who believes he owns the night. After the fight, Tupac leaves the venue and enters a black BMW. He sits in the passenger seat as the car drives through the Las Vegas Strip. The streets are busy. Traffic lights glow red and green, music plays. The city keeps moving, then at a red light, everything changes. A white Cadillac slowly pulls up beside the BMW. Its window rolls down. There is no warning, no argument, no time to react. Gunshots explode into the night. Bullets tear through the car, glass shatters, panic fills the air, and just as quickly as it appears, the Cadillac speeds away, disappearing into the darkness. In one of the most crowded cities in America, a shooting happens in plain sight, and yet the shooter vanishes without a trace. Tupac is rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Doctors work desperately to save him. Machines beep, tubes surround his body. Friends wait in silence, hoping for a miracle. For 6 long days, the world watches and waits. Fans gather outside the hospital. Radio stations play his music non-stop. News channels repeat the same question again and again. Will Tupac survive? Then, on September 13, 1996, the answer arrives. Tupac Shakur is dead. Only 25 years old, the shock is global. The music industry mourns. Millions of fans feel as if they have lost a voice that spoke directly to them. Hip-hop will never be the same again. But even as grief spreads across the world, another emotion begins to rise. Confusion. Because after all the cameras, witnesses, and attention, no one is arrested. As days turn into weeks and weeks turn into years, investigators struggle to build a case. Witnesses refuse to cooperate. Some change their stories, others disappear completely. There is no clear suspect, no murder weapon recovered, no solid evidence tying anyone to the crime. Rumors begin to spread. Some believe the murder is connected to the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Others point toward gang involvement. Many believe powerful people knew the truth and chose silence. And then come the conspiracies. People claim Tupac faked his death, that he escaped, that he is still alive somewhere. These theories grow stronger not because they are proven, but because justice never arrives. The absence of answers turns Tupac's murder into something larger than a crime. It becomes a symbol of lost truth. Decades pass, but the questions never fade. Who killed Tupac Shakur? And why was no one ever held accountable? Then, years later, a shocking development emerges. Reports surface that the FBI has reopened and reviewed files connected to Tupac's murder, documents that were never fully revealed, statements that were never explained, information that stayed hidden for years. This revelation changes everything. If the FBI had information, why didn't it lead to arrests? What was buried? And who benefited from the silence? The reopening of these files suggests something terrifying, that the truth may have been known all along and intentionally ignored. And that means the real story of Tupac Shakur's death may still be waiting to come out. As the years passed, Tupac's murder refused to fade into history. Instead, it grew darker, heavier, and more complicated. Investigators quietly admitted something disturbing. This was not just a street shooting gone wrong. Too many people knew too much, and too many of them stayed silent. Las Vegas police faced enormous pressure, but progress stalled almost immediately. Witnesses who were present that night suddenly couldn't remember faces, license plates, or even directions. Some refused interviews entirely, others claimed they feared for their lives. Behind closed doors, law enforcement began to believe that Tupac's murder was protected by layers of street loyalty, fear, gang culture, and powerful influence. This wasn't just about pulling a trigger, it was about control, about sending a message. And when cases reach that level, the truth doesn't disappear, it gets buried. Names began circulating quietly among investigators and journalists. Some were tied to gang affiliations, others had connections to the music industry. A few were people Tupac had encountered just hours before his death, but every potential suspect came with the same problem. No one would testify, the street stayed silent, the witnesses stayed hidden, and the case stayed frozen. What made this even more disturbing was how often leads seemed to collapse at the last moment. Informants backed out, evidence went missing. Momentum died without explanation. Many detectives later admitted this case felt different, like pushing against an invisible wall. Every time they got close, something stopped them, someone stopped them, and that raised a terrifying question. Was Tupac's murder too dangerous to solve? Years later, the revelation about FBI involvement reopened old wounds. Reports confirmed that federal agencies had collected information related to Tupac's murder. Statements, intelligence reports, possible connections that were never fully shared with the public. Why was the FBI interested? What did they know that local police didn't? Some documents hinted at broader criminal networks. Others suggested that Tupac was under observation long before his death, not as a victim, but as a figure surrounded by instability and conflict. The most unsettling part wasn't what the files revealed, it was what they didn't. Redacted pages, missing sections, unanswered references. The FBI files didn't solve the case. They proved that the full truth had never been released. As the investigation stalled, Tupac's legacy continued to grow. His albums sold millions. His words reached new generations. His image became immortal, but behind the music, his family and fans lived with unanswered pain. A young man with talent, intelligence, and influence was gone, and no one paid for it. Every anniversary of his death reopened the same wounds. Candlelight vigils replaced courtrooms. Songs replaced justice. And Tupac became another name added to the list of lives taken without accountability. The silence surrounding his murder wasn't accidental anymore. It felt intentional. And when silence lasts this long, it becomes part of the crime itself. Today, Tupac Shakur's death remains officially unsolved. No convictions, no closure, only theories, fragments, and shadows. The reopening of FBI files reminds us that the truth may still exist, locked away in documents, memories, and fear. Somewhere, someone knows exactly what happened on that Las Vegas street, and that knowledge has survived for decades until the full truth comes out. Tupac's story remains unfinished, not just a murder mystery, but a warning about power, silence, and how easily justice can disappear when the wrong people are involved. This is not just the death of Tupac Shakur. This is the story of a truth the world is still waiting to hear.